Scream, released in 1996, is a very smart satire of horror movies. Scary Movie, released in 2000, is a very dumb parody of Scream. And I Know What You Did Last Summer and The Blair Witch Project, the Scary Movie franchise is a wood chipper of chuckles into which many a horror movie has been tossed into. So with the franchise back for its 6th installment, let's take a look back at the heroic journey of Cindy Campbell and her friends. Even though the Scary Movies spoof many horror films that were popular at the time they were made, each movie roots themselves in one or two in particular. And the first Scary Movie, of course, owes the most to Scream. And you can't start a Scream movie without a young actress that's a little bit more famous than the rest of the cast being stalked and killed by a ghost-faced killer. And this time with an even more deflating conclusion for Carmen Electra's Drew. Across town, Cindy Campbell's dad is going out of town to hide from the feds after a drug deal gone bad, giving her a chance to have a little PG-13 encounter with her boyfriend Bobby. But Cindy's protective of her boundaries and sends Bobby on his way. But not without a little parting gift, of course. Gail Hailstorm arrives in town to report on the murder the next day, squeezing local Officer Doofy for information on the investigation and finding him to be rather...
Would you remind me not to do that again?
Meanwhile, Cindy, Bobby, and their friends, Brenda, Ray, Buffy, and Greg, try to work out who may be behind Drew's murder, which has them all remembering what they did last summer, killing a jaywalker in the middle of the night.
It's okay, I'm fine.
After multiple, attempts. They make a pact to keep the killing a secret, one which Cindy begrudgingly agrees to. But that secret is back to haunt and hunt Cindy and her friends. First on the chopping block is Greg, who's attacked, with very unfortunate timing, in the middle of the talent portion of Buffy's beauty pageant. Cindy's very nearly next to go, but it's clear she's just a little more adept at getting ahead of Ghostface than her friends.
Where am I?
You're behind the couch.
What?
A chase up the widest and tallest staircase ever built into a residential home ensues, resulting in the likely crushing death of Cindy's grandma. That buys Cindy just enough time to get a message to police, and they show up to save the day. Bobby arrives as well, putting himself at the top of the suspect list when he drops a cell phone and knife in front of Cindy. Ghostface is living large, though, taking enough time out of his busy schedule to do a parody of a commercial that no one has seen since the Clinton administration.
What's up? What's up?
Do that bit to your dad, he will laugh. Next to bite it is Buffy, who's so distracted cataloging the tropes of a slasher death scene that she falls victim to the tropes of a slasher death scene.
I guess this is the big climax. Hope you don't mind if I fake it.
We jump ahead to Scream 2 for a tribute to the sequel's opening scene, as Ghostface lets an entire theater full of moviegoers do his dirty work for him. R.I.P. Brenda, at least for, the next 30 seconds. Cindy decides there's safety in numbers and throws a party at her place, stealing away upstairs for a romantic encounter with Bobby. Very romantic. They're able to take the time to themselves because Ghostface is getting lit as shit with Shorty and his friends in the basement. You can tell they're high as hell for two reasons. Ghostface throws his knife around and kills all of Shorty's friends, and Shorty claims that this is the best rap he's ever heard.
I spill blood on the walls and play tennis with your balls. If the phone rings, don't answer the call. Gonna slit your throat, you like a goat, peel your foreskin off and make a winter coat. Peace.
After Cindy and Bobby's upstairs bump sends the partygoers fleeing in terror, Ghostface attacks Bobby and chases Cindy downstairs. Shorty runs up to meet them, only for Bobby to reveal himself to be the killer. Well, one of the killers. Ray's in on it too, each driven mad by their very confused and confusing sexual misgivings.
I'm gay. And in case you haven't noticed, so is Ray.
What? I ain't gay.
What are you talking about? You took her to that club.
So they play good music.
They reveal, though, that they're walking in the footsteps of another killer to hide their tracks. And the real fake Ghostface shows up to claim the crown. Scary Movie released just a year after The Matrix, which meant that it was morally obligated to do some Matrix parody crap before Ghostface escapes, the cops show up, and take Cindy away for questioning. That's when the sheriff reveals that the kids actually did kill the fisherman they hit that night last summer, leaving only one possible Ghostface suspect: Doofy, whose motive was giving the movie an excuse to parody the usual suspects on the way out the door. Doofy and Gale ride off into the sunset. That's it. Movie over. Next! Though Scary Movie 2's opening scene is largely a send-up of The Exorcist, it establishes the haunting-flavored Hell House as the sequel's main location. Baby Natasha Lyonne is possessed by an evil spirit and does, battle with a pair of exorcists, and they exorcise the spirit with a quick headshot. A year later, we catch up with Cindy, Brenda, Shorty, and Ray at college. How are Brenda, Shorty, and Ray still alive? It does not matter, but they've made some new friends, Buddy, Alex, and Theo. Professor Oldman and his teaching assistant Dwight deduce that Cindy and her friends have a strong psychic connection to the afterlife because of all the death that they've been around, and they conspire to use them in a paranormal experiment to awaken the spirits that slumber at Hell House. After an appetizing meal prepared by Hanson the caretaker, we get another spoof of a commercial no one's seen in over 20 years, and Cindy and Buddy discover that not only did Hugh Kane murder his wife Carolyn, but that she looked just like Cindy.
Well, actually, her hair doesn't have as many split ends as yours. And her skin isn't as oily as yours either.
The spirit of Hugh Kane goes banging through the house in the night and possesses a cat to box Cindy. I'll say it once more. Possesses a cat to box Cindy. The Kane's vengeful spirits continue to plague the students, nearly smoking Shorty before his friends jump the line to take him to safety. They regroup the next morning and decide they'll have to escape by getting the key to the manor gate back from Professor Oldman and Dwight. Somehow, hours pass, the spirits awaken and begin to attack again, starting with Professor Oldman. Dwight hands out ghost phasers and thermo goggles to combat the spirits, but everyone seems pretty much on the same page that these spirits seem most intent on getting to Cindy. So like the good friends they are, they all take turns throwing her to the spooky skeleton stalking her through the basement, even though friendship does win the day for Cindy and Brenda.
He's crazy now.
Hijinks galore as the survivors split up and hunt the spirits. Hijinks like this, and this, and this. Shorty's being ratatouilleed by Beetlejuice, which will not make a lick of sense to you if you were born after, 1990. We're just legging it out to 80 minutes, and you can tell we're getting into the end game because it's time to spoof another big fight scene. This time from Charlie's Angels, and hey, let's sprinkle a little Twister in there too. Why not? They manage to lure Kane out onto a handy-dandy ghost trap and send his ass packing back to the Phantom Zone. Move Over, Scream, another movie with an iconic scary phone call, serves as one of Scary Movie 3's two main inspirations, as Pam Anderson and Jenny McCarthy both fall victim to the curse of a very The Ring-like tape they'd each watched 7 days prior. Cindy Campbell has started a career as a reporter, and she's determined to get to the bottom of some science stuff happening over at Tom Logan's farm. A crop circle has appeared, signaling that maybe, just maybe, an alien invasion is imminent. Tom's brother George is too busy trying to get his rap career off the ground to stick around to see what that's all about, but not too busy to pick up Tom's daughter from school, where Cindy's also picking up her creepy little nephew, Cody. And hey, Brenda teaches both kids because we're 10 minutes into this movie and we need to get her into the mix.
Now who the f did that?
Cindy and Brenda attend George's big rap battle hosted by Mahalik and CJ, where, with Eminem way out in front, he puts up the second best performance from a white rapper in cinematic history.
I'm a white boy, but my neck is red. I put Miracle Whip on my Wonder Bread. I grew up on a farm and I was born with no rhythm. Dr. Phil's my uncle and I like to hang with him.
Later that night, Brenda confesses to Cindy that she's also seen the cursed tape just before Tabitha comes to bring her 7 days to a close. George and Mahalik do make a last attempt at saving her life at the wake, though. Cindy watches the tape for herself, and it's exactly the same as it is in The Ring, shot for shot. This is what happens in The Ring. Cindy meets CJ's aunt Shaniqua, who reveals that the cursed tape is connected to the crop circles with some Oracle-like insight because yes, Matrix parodies are still fully in vogue at this point in 2003. The answers to these dueling mysteries seem to be tied to a lighthouse on the tape. The clock is really ticking now that Cody has seen the tape for himself and aliens are making their way into the Logan's house. But it's okay, the White House is on the case.
Get me the president.
You are the president.
Good.
Cindy arrives at the lighthouse to find that Matrix parodies will never cease, with the all-knowing architect revealing that his adopted daughter Tabitha wound up being evil and imprinted that evil onto a videotape before the architect's wife killed her for her heinous acts. The architect theorizes that Tabitha's evil is drawing the aliens to Earth to exact her revenge on a global scale. All paths, including President Baxter's, converge at the Logan farm, where the aliens make contact and reveal that they're not there to do Tabitha's bidding, they're there because they also watched the cursed tape, which was somehow being broadcast into space.
Our satellite picked up what we thought was Pootie Tang.
It's then that Cindy discovers that the Logan farm is where Tabitha was killed years prior, discovering the well from the tape beneath the floorboards in the basement. Tabitha rejects Cindy and George's offer to find peace with their loving and very safe family before she's dropped back to the bottom of the well by a killer airplane reference.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Scary Movie 4 begins with Shaq and Dr. Phil awakening in a bathroom to find themselves being sawed.
You have 120 seconds to reach the antidote, or you die.
Jigsaw forces Shaq to face the most terrifying test possible to save his own life, making a free throw. We'll see whether these two had the fortitude to survive Jigsaw's game a little later on. We just finished spoofing an American remake of a J-horror movie and an alien movie. What's it gonna be this time? The Grudge and War of the Worlds. So an American remake of a J-horror movie and an alien movie. This is just really shaping up. Cindy Campbell tried a switch from reporter to boxer sometime after Scary Movie 3, but tragically, George sacrificed himself in the ring to prevent Cindy from million-dollar babying herself, causing a chain reaction of million-dollar babying throughout the arena. Cindy arrives to visit with his brother, Tom Logan, who's at the end of his rope after being haunted by both George's death and a creepy ghost boy, and he tosses himself to the rock-hard pavement. Sorry, I got that backwards. He tosses himself to the pavement rock hard. Elsewhere, crane operator Tom Ryan meets up with his old pals and our old pals, CJ and Mahalik. We replaced Tom Logan and George with a guy who looks like George named Tom Ryan. And we're just all gonna agree to be cool about that, all right? I got so much other shit today, I can't spend all this time explaining the intricacies of every part of Scary Movie. Tom lives next to the Norris house, where Cindy's beginning yet another career change with a job as caregiver to Mrs. Norris. Hair coming out of the walls, little ghost boys popping out of the bathtub and meowing up in the crawl space. Sure looks like this house is grudged as f to me. Cindy has just enough time to confide in Tom that there's something sketchy going on in the Norris house when a butt in the sky starts farting lightning, which, fun fact, is the first time that's happened in a film since The Bicycle Thief in 1948. And as it happens, that lightning is actually aliens beaming down into their tripods to begin an attack on the planet. Cindy discovers a map in the Norris house which she believes may hold the key to stopping the aliens, but I cannot be sure about that because I'm going to be totally honest, I stopped paying attention at that part, and I guarantee it will not be important enough for me to have rewound the movie to be sure. While following the map, Cindy comes across a crashed airplane and a reporter looking for clues in the wreckage. Brenda, she's still not dead. How do they explain it? With, honestly, the most hilariously hand-wavy line of dialogue ever.
I thought you were dead.
Oh, I thought you were dead too.
The map Cindy found leads her and Brenda to the village from the village, because it's been a minute since we've dogged on M. Night Shyamalan. Elder Hale convenes a meeting to decide what to do about Cindy and Brenda, reluctantly allowing them to stay as the aliens continue their attack. Over in the War of the Worlds storyline, Tom and his kids are pulled out of their car by an angry mob while attempting to escape the city and take refuge in the basement of Oliver, who's got some great ideas on how to stop the tripods.
When we build our tripods, they'll have 4 legs.
Elder Hale reveals just before he dies that the ghost boy was his stepson, and one of the many victims of Cindy's $1 million baby massacre. Cindy, Tom, and Brenda are trapped in the belly of a tripod, which winds up being the bathroom from the opening scene. Yes, Jigsaw is an alien, and he wants to play another game. A series of lightly Saw-themed visual gags ensue. Let's just let some of these continue to ensue. They're ensuing. Okay, Jigsaw was the ghost boy's real father. Guess that's how those two storylines are going to be bolted together. They don't finish in time, but it literally doesn't matter because Jigsaw decides to forgive Cindy and call off the invasion. Must have run out of visual effects budget for those tripod shots. Movie's completely over at this point, but it had only been about a year since the Tom Cruise Oprah incident, and we're only a hair over 80 minutes at this point, so let's do a little of that. And that's enough. All right, what are we working with, Scary Movie 5? Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan are making a Scary Movie version of a sex tape when some paranormal activity happens, resulting in Charlie's tragic death and the disappearance of his 3 kids, who Jamarcus and DeAndre stumble upon shortly thereafter in a cabin in the woods, like Cabin in the Woods. They claim to have been cared for by some sort of spooky mama named Mama, like in Mama. The children are adopted by Charlie's fictional brother Dan and his wife Jody, who really does not want to be a mother.
Little mother!
So Tom and George Logan both died in Scary Movie 4, Charlie Sheen comes back but as himself, and Simon Rex comes back but as a different character. Be cool about it!
Well, everything checks out.
In order to adopt the kids, Dan and Jody do have to agree to the perfectly reasonable caveat of having to move into a huge house wired for 24/7 recording, because that is the amount of legwork that Scary Movie 5 is willing to do to justify doing Paranormal Activity style camera work. Dan and Jody are each also facing a lot of pressure at their jobs. Dan's working to perfect a compound that'll make apes like Caesar super intelligent, and Jody's an artist looking for an outlet to express herself, whether that be playing bass poorly or being the lead of Swan Lake poorly. After continuing Paranormal Activity, Jody decides to call the psychic Blaine to make contact with the insidious Mama. She quickly takes him out of the frame and out of the movie. What else? Vacuum Pool Party, where we get our second Scary Movie character f***ing a vacuum. We're halfway through this one, y'all. Come on, you made it this far. Let's get through to the end. All the super apes escape captivity and wreak havoc across town. Jody hires a Leo lookalike to inception into one of the girls' dreams for answers about Mama, where we find out she got evil-deaded by an evil book. Caesar moves in with Dan and Jody. The Paranormal Activity and the 5-second character cameos continue.
That'll make me holla, honey boo-boo child.
Another outdated commercial parody, a quite honestly and at this point surprisingly funny transition shot between scenes where they didn't want to spend the budget on a driving shot and just shot a remote control car instead. That all winds up with Jody, not Cindy, and her friend Kendra, not Brenda, arriving at a cabin in the woods, but not the one from the beginning of the movie, to break Mama's curse. Evil Dead remake stuff. Jody and Kendra are pretty sure they've broken the curse, but remember, everyone in this movie is impossibly stupid. Mama abducts the girls, but Jody's learned how to love these little monsters and saves the day. And all of that, all of what has transpired in this labyrinthian lore is sure to be deeply woven into the narrative fabric of the new Scary Movie. Maybe we'll finally learn what kind of interesting and I'm sure very sensitively rendered life Doofy has gone on to lead. What's your favorite Scary Movie? Let us know in the comments, and for everything this, and this, you're already in the right place. IGN.